Good morning, kids. We are so excited that you've decided to join us today. We are in the second Sunday of this series called Now What? And I promised you last week that we would be telling some stories about people in the Bible who went through some hard things, some confusing times, some situations where they're like, well, now what? And they thought it was all over. So this morning we have one of those stories from the Bible. It comes from way back in the book of Genesis. And what had happened was there was this man named Abraham who God had said, I'm going to start a special family through you, and you're going to be my very special people to be a blessing to the whole world. And Abraham had a son named Isaac, who had a son named Jacob. And Jacob had 12 sons. Today's story is about Jacob's sons, and specifically one of those sons who didn't just have one or two now what moments, but had a lot. And we're going to see exactly what happened to this family. This family wasn't perfect, as we will see today, really as we're going to see here in our very first scene.
Hey, kids.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Joseph, come here. How you doing? How's my favorite son? Oh, sorry, guys. How are you, though?
Good.
Hey, I had something made up special for you.
You did?
Yeah, I know it's not your birthday or holiday or anything, but I got something for you. You want it?
Yeah.
Okay, close your eyes. Check it out.
What?
Ooh.
It's a special coat just for you.
Wait, what about us?
Did we get one?
No, they only had enough fabric for one. So I want you to know. Hey, can you all quit grumbling and complaining all the time? Go. You're supposed to be out in the field with the animals. Go. Get out of here. So, do you like your new coat?
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had it made as if it was being made for me. Hey, now listen, I just sent your brothers out to the field. I want you to give them a little time, and then I want you to follow them and check in on them. Because the last time they weren't doing things right, remember you had to tell me?
Yeah.
So go ahead and do that again. Why don't you go check on them for me?
Yikes. I don't know if any of you have brothers or sisters that are watching this, but you can probably imagine what it would feel like if it was really obvious that one of them was the favorite. To make it worse, Joseph kept having these dreams about things bowing down to him. And he goes and he tells his brothers and his dad, hey, I've been having these dreams. Guess what? You guys are going to bow down to me one day. Isn't that so cool? And they're like, no, not cool. We're not bowing down to you, baby brother. You will never be bigger or better or stronger or more powerful than us. So Joseph is the favorite. And he's not really being humble about it. Like, even if you were having those dreams, and even if they were like real dreams from God, you probably don't want to tell your brothers about it, but Joseph did. So the family tension was growing. He was the favorite. He had this special coat, and every time he wore it, they all knew he was the favorite. And he was having these really annoying dreams and telling everybody about it. So the tension is growing.
Oh, there comes Joseph, the dreamer.
Goodness, what are we gonna do with him?
What if we kill him and tell Father something crazy?
No, we can't kill him. That's way too far.
Are you sure? Because then we get rid of him.
Hey, what about the pit over there? We can throw him in there.
That's a great idea. When he comes here, we'll do it. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Do you have any more
give me
dreams?
this.
Get in that pit!
Wait, what are we gonna do?
I have an idea. Father, Joseph was killed by wolves. We're so sorry.
Joseph's gone? No!
Does that mean I'm your favorite now?
Now, Joseph didn't really die, right? He was in the pit, but his dad thinks he's dead. But what had actually happened in the meantime is that the brothers decided to go and get Joseph out of the pit when they saw these slave traders coming, because they thought, hey, you know what? We could actually make some money off of this brother that we all hate. And so what they did was they saw these slave traders coming and they sold Joseph to them. And these slave traders took Joseph all the way to Egypt to be a slave. And Joseph is bought by this man named Potiphar. Potiphar was really important, and Joseph was in charge of managing his household, which he was really good at. It turns out that Joseph actually had some really good management and organization skills, and he did really great until one day Potiphar's wife gets mad at Joseph, falsely accuses him of something, and lands Joseph in prison. And Joseph thinks it's all over, it's all going to be the end, but the jailer, the warden, recognizes that Joseph has some really good leadership skills, and he starts putting him in charge of stuff of the prison until Joseph is really well respected. And this whole time, Joseph is struggling to understand what in the world God could be doing, but he tries to have faith. He tries to keep trusting, and Scripture tells us that God is with Joseph, that his grace is on him, and that he's allowing Joseph to do good things. So at this point in our story, Joseph is really well respected by the people in prison, and a couple of people come to him with a problem one day.
Why are you so sad? We keep having these crazy dreams, and we cannot figure out what they mean.
No idea.
Not a clue.
Tell them to me. Maybe I can, you know.
Huh? Okay.
Worth a shot.
So the cupbearer and the baker tell Joseph about these dreams, and Joseph tells them what they mean.
I got some good news and I kind of got some bad news. You're going to die, and you are going to get your job back in 3 days.
No, please tell me this is not true.
Huh?
It's true.
3 days later, these dreams came true. The baker died, and the cupbearer got his old job back. Now, what a cupbearer did is they would bring the king, the pharaoh, his drinks, but they wouldn't just bring the drink. They would also usually have to taste it first to make sure they didn't get sick or die, to make sure the pharaoh wasn't being poisoned. It's a pretty important job, pretty dangerous job. And before the cupbearer left prison, Joseph made him promise one thing.
So, when you leave to go to your job, promise you won't forget me?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Got you.
But he did not remember Joseph and his ability to interpret dreams. In fact, he forgot completely about Joseph for 2 years, until one night when Pharaoh has a dream that will change the rest of Joseph's life.
Sir, are you okay? You look sick.
I'm not sick. I just had a terrible dream last night. 2 of them, actually. And I called all the wisest people in my kingdom, and they don't know what's going on. They don't know what to tell me. I gotta figure out what this dream means.
Well, I actually know a guy in jail who interpreted my dream.
Wait, you know a guy in jail who interprets dreams?
Yeah, his name's Joseph. He's a great guy.
Well, go get him. What are you waiting for?
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Just this way. The Pharaoh
Didn't
wants
forget
you.
about me.
Just stand right there, okay?
Hi, Joseph.
I don't know if this is going to work out for either one of you. You sure this is the person who can interpret dreams?
Yes, sir.
So your name's Joseph, huh?
Yeah.
Your name's Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can interpret dreams?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, not me.
You might be going back to prison.
I promise, sir. He's the one.
Do you interpret dreams or not?
I don't, but God does.
So your God interprets dreams.
Yeah.
So if I told you my dream, God might tell you what my dream means.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try that.
So Pharaoh tells Joseph all about this crazy dream that he had about fat cows and skinny cows and cows eating each other, and he was so confused about what it would mean. But God helped Joseph be able to interpret this dream and say, well, Pharaoh, you're going to have 7 years that are really, really great. There's going to be lots of extra grain. It's going to be amazing. And Pharaoh's so excited. And then Joseph's like, but then there's going to be 7 years of famine. Nothing growing. None of the crops producing anything. Well, you can imagine that Pharaoh is very worried about his kingdom.
Well, I mean, that makes sense now that you tell it to me. And I'm glad you told me what it means, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, what am I going to do?
Well, Joseph says, actually, Pharaoh, I have this idea. What if you put someone in charge that could help, like someone who's really good at managing things, and they can manage those 7 really good years, and they can save up all the grain and store it really well, and make sure that we just live off what we need, so that there will be extra in the 7 years of famine, and our people will be saved, and there will be all this extra. I think you should pick someone that could manage things really, really well. Well, no one, especially Joseph, could have predicted what Pharaoh did next.
You're a really unique guy, Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
We pulled you out of prison, and you're the only one who can interpret my dream. But not only that, you came up with a plan to save my kingdom. You know what I'm going to do, Joseph? I'm not sending you back to prison.
Oh, yay!
I'm going to put you in charge of the entire kingdom. You are going to be the most powerful person in all of Egypt. Well, I mean, except for me. But you're going to be second. Does that sound all right?
Fine with me.
Do you think you can do this? The plan that you just told me, I need you to put into place. Can you do that?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to let you sit on my throne and make decisions. Go ahead and do what needs to be done.
Hey, congratulations, Joseph.
Well, nobody really saw that coming, right? Where Joseph was going to get out of prison and then become second in command on the very same day. So what happened was the dreams came true. There were 7 amazing years with just good sun and good rain and good soil, and everything was going so great until that 8th year when things started falling apart and there was a famine. And the thing is, this famine didn't just affect Egypt, but it affected a lot of the other countries too. And so what happened was Joseph's brothers and family back in Israel, they were experiencing the same famine. They needed to get food. And because of how things had worked out, you had to go to Egypt and you had to go see Joseph if you wanted to get food. Now, the brothers surely don't know that Joseph is as powerful as he is. They think he's some lowly slave somewhere in Egypt, right? And Joseph's dad still thinks that he's dead. But Joseph has grown up. He wears his hair and his clothes like the Egyptians too, so his brothers are not going to recognize him. But Joseph will recognize them.
There's that guy. Your great food giver we really need some food. Our dad, he's not doing well. So can you, we have money. Can you please give us some food, your greatness?
Now Joseph is in a bit of a dilemma, right? He knows these are his brothers. He could take revenge and not give them any food. He could kill them if he wanted to, right? So Joseph has to decide what to do. And he plays a couple games with them, not like board games like Monopoly or Dominoes or any of those kind of games, but kind of like mind games where he kind of tricks them and tests them for a while to see if their hearts have changed. Because the last time he knew his brothers, they were not so great. So Joseph has to decide what to do. And we're about to see what God has been doing in Joseph's heart for all of these years.
So do you think you could give us some food? We need a lot of food, please.
Please, sir.
Sure.
Hey, food.
I'm in with Joseph.
No!
He's gonna kill us.
Please, show mercy on us. Please, we're so sorry.
I forgive you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Go get Dad.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure, yeah, of course. Father, Joseph wants to.
Joseph? Is it really you? Come here, my boy. It's been so many years. I missed you so much.
So this family has now been reconciled and restored. The whole region is saved from famine. But not only that, Pharaoh invites Joseph's whole family to come live in Egypt for the rest of their lives. And for the most part, this family lived happily ever after. So I want to invite our actors back out on our stage here so you can clap for them at home, tell them thank you. They all did agree to do this. We didn't force anyone into this for the most part. They agreed to come and do this with us today. But what we want to take away from this story is what God was doing even when Joseph couldn't feel it or see it. Joseph started out kind of proud and arrogant. He wasn't very sensitive or humble to the other people in his life. But he still didn't really deserve what happened to him, right? I mean, being sold into slavery, being falsely imprisoned. And I know there had to be days and weeks and months and years when Joseph thought it was over. When Joseph thought that God had forgotten him, that God wasn't taking care of him. But the whole time we know God was taking care of Joseph. God was working. God was even taking some of the bad things and God was going to use them for good. God was going to use Joseph to save millions of lives. But not only that, God was going to work in Joseph's heart to make him ready to forgive and love everyone, even the people who mistreated him. So when we find ourselves in situations that are hard and we don't see or feel God, we can trust that God's still working. We can try to believe in him and have faith in him and use the gifts and talents and abilities that he's given us, because we never know what God might be doing.